I always talk about is something that I talked about in Empower Your Money book that I wrote, but knowing your numbers as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is vital for the success of your business. JLD, John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneurs on Fire, a great mentor of mine. I was fortunate enough to be on his podcast as well, one of the top podcasts in the world, millions of downloads every Audio Jungle. Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I'm your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and we talk all things money and business. This is part 2 of a 3-part series that I am doing called Financial Brilliance. And what this is about is I am taking the top interviews that I have done over the past year and giving you the top tips from each of them in hopes to give you some motivation, some information, and for you to have some action items to put into your life, into your business today. So let's continue. This one, I am going to talk about Stephanie Baka. She is a production company. She's worked on Netflix and Hollywood, many incredible opportunities and projects that she's had the chance to work on. I met her through a Grant Cardone event here in South Florida and just thought she was incredible and had to have her on my show. So her tip and advice is to invest in a really amazing phone and learn how to use a couple of those features of that phone, because oftentimes people are purchasing these expensive cameras and equipments to do content. And she said, just use your phone. It's with you all the time. It's in your pocket. But just make sure that you know how to use that phone in a couple of key ways. And that's pretty easy to do via YouTube today. Next interview was Kim Bilke, and she's with Sacred Womb Cycles. And I found this one quite interesting as a woman, for those that are still in the childbearing age, that you can utilize your cycle and understanding your cycle. And she believes that, utilizing the cycles of the earth and the moon and scheduling your important meetings around that, once you understand what your cycle does to your own body, and utilizing that to the best of your advantage. So that was an amazing episode. Alicia Dunham's a friend of mine that helped me write my second book, which I have not released yet, but she offers Bestseller in a Weekend, which is an incredible program that I had a chance to be part of. And she encourages you, if you have a book idea, you have it in your mind, you can use ChatGPT, you can use the notes features on your phone, but to write a book, start a movement and change the world, which she definitely did with her latest book, How to Speak to Your Enemies, which just got global recognition, opened incredible doors for her, and is truly making an impact on the world. Aileen Martinez with Rise Up Bookkeeping, we were talking about tax season. Now, obviously, I was not interviewing her during tax season because it was quite a busy time for her, but tax season is not the only time that you as a business owner should be reviewing your numbers. You should be reviewing your numbers monthly. You should have a great system in place. And if it's not something that you have time to do, or if it's just not your strength, then hire it out to a bookkeeper so that at least they're collecting the data for you so that you can have an accurate report and pay attention to your numbers. It's something that I always talk about. It's something that I talked about in Empower Your Money book that I wrote. But knowing your numbers as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is vital for the success of your business. JLD, John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneurs on Fire, a great mentor of mine. I was fortunate enough to be on his podcast as well, one of the top podcasts in the world, millions of downloads every month. But he gave one huge piece of advice for entrepreneurs. You will be successful as a creator if you do this one thing, which was a great caption and clip. We went into that one thing, and he said, you need to find a solution for a current problem. So not an idea, not something that, perhaps you think someone might need, but you might need to beta test it a little bit. There's lots of programs out there. You can send out a Google Doc or, a Jot form and just ask people if this is a problem for them today, and then solve that one problem. Melissa Waggy here in South Florida. She is the founder and creator of Epic Talks, an incredible community. And her advice was to go to the mirror and look yourself in the eye and have a conversation with yourself, which that was kind of odd at first, but she's like, wait, talk about this. So if you go to the mirror and you're having a conversation with yourself, are you proud of the woman or the person that you have become? And what she said is when you are having this real conversation with yourself in person, it's just you, perhaps you're in the bathroom, that it's nearly impossible to lie to yourself. Or if you do, you know you're lying. So have that conversation. If you are not proud of that person that is staring back at you, then change, make the change, because only you have the ability to change yourself. Julie Weintraub, a good old friend of mine in the Tampa Bay area. She is the co-owner of the Gold and Diamond Source, and her advice as a business owner, because she has a brick and mortar store that she can walk into, she can talk to her employees, but she says, you know, walk in and have a look around, look at your business, look at your employees, and ask yourself, is this somewhere that I would want to work? And if the answer is no, then you need to make some changes. If the answer is yes, you ask, what else can I build upon that to make this a better environment for my employees? So I loved that piece of advice. Jamaica Martin with the agency VA, loved her energy. We talked a lot about VAs, and especially, you know, their company, Agency VA, does hire VAs from South America and from Eastern countries like Asia. And we were talking about the pool and misconception of international VAs. And I loved her point. And she was talking about how, you know, sometimes as Americans, we can think that we are the smartest people on the planet. But there are other people on this planet that are smarter and more qualified that you can hire for your company. And yes, they're going to accept perhaps a lesser salary amount than someone here in the US with the same qualifications. But if you think about their cost of living, the cost of college, how did they get that education? It could be a lot less than what you paid here in the US. So they're able to accept a lower salary, but they're just as qualified, if not more qualified, than some of the candidates that you might be considering here in the US. But you as the business owner still have to take the time to vet that interview, right? To ask the right questions for that interview person. And you have to spend the time to train them. I think that's the biggest downfall of people in VAs, and why they have that misconception is because they expect they unload a VA and they just know what to do. No, just like any other employee that you would hire in your company, you do have to spend the time to train that person so that they can be the best version of themselves for you and really help you grow your business. Amy Somerville, she is the CEO of Success Inc. And I was telling her the story how I loved listening to Entrepreneur magazine via CDs. Darren Hardy, you know, he helped grow that company. She is an incredible CEO and has really taken over and grown Success Inc. Very proud of her. But we were talking about magazines in general, right? It seems like it's kind of a lost art. And there's so many magazines out there. Now you can be digital with it. Whereas before I used to wait and get it mailed to me every month or every quarter. And she really talked about loving the idea of being in a crowded space, right? There's lots of competition. And the reason why is because it really challenges you. It really motivates you to figure out, how do I have this success in this company and stand out from the noise of all of the other competitors? So she really thrives in that crowded space area instead of kind of shying away from that. Stacy Merchant with Merchant Insurance Solutions here in South Florida. We were talking about business insurance in general. And oftentimes business owners might know that they need, you know, a liability policy, or if they rent space, they might need, you know, insurance to cover that as well. But if you don't speak with a qualified insurance professional, you may not know the other holes that exist in your business insurance package, right? So it's the duty of the insurance agent to be qualified and intelligent and experienced enough to explain to you what other insurance options that you may have available. And then it's up to you as a business owner whether or not you want to have that type of insurance, right? So the qualifications of the insurance agent is really important. So if your insurance agent is not at least, you know, teaching you about other insurance options that are available for your company, then perhaps you do not have the right insurance professional in your corner. And it's so important as a business owner to have the right professionals in your corner. So seek out, ask other people, you know, who's your insurance agent? What do you think about them? And then figure out if you need to do some shopping around. Adriana Foster, wow, she did a little bit of singing on my podcast, which is incredible. She has had the opportunity to travel the world as a singer and had some great success. She lives here in South Florida, and she's also the founder of the Loud Women Nation. We were talking about how she combines her two passions, which is, being able to perform, but also to help other entrepreneurs to grow their business. And so she really dove into creating an experience, an in-person experience for her Loud Women Nation group, so that they are not only coming together in community and learning, from that experience, but having a true different experience than just attending a conference. So I love what she had put together there. Victoria Kennedy, Victorious PR. I love saying that. I just loved her energy as well. She's extremely experienced in the PR industry and helping her clients get into the right magazines, get on the right, shows and commercials so that they can help promote that type of business to the right audience. One of the biggest pieces of advice that she had is to get into relationships, right? When you meet people and you have the opportunity to be in a magazine, or perhaps you're being featured on a show or interviewed, to make sure that you're building a relationship with that person. Be grateful, say thank you, figure out, how can I help you, return favors. But it's not just about you being on their platforms, but being in a relationship with them, because then they're going to remember you later, and perhaps they'll have another opportunity for you to be featured again. So that was incredible advice. And I'm going to end the show today with my girl, Becca Brazil. I love music, and so she's also an internationally known musician. You could check her out on Spotify, which is where I have her songs. But she was talking about being in the music industry, being in the media industry, because she also gets to host, events and go on the red carpet and things like that. But she was talking about how she never gave up on her dreams, which created income, but now she utilizes that income to invest in other sources outside of her main, category, which is kind of the media and the musician category. Herself invests in Airbnbs in Brazil, Becca Brazil. So that was a great idea, but there's, other avenues. So think about when you are creating income in an industry like that, which, could change at any moment, like many industries, but diversifying to making sure that your investments are in different areas as well. Do your research, partner with the right people, but having those multiple and diversified investments will help you should you have any type of market shift in your own current industry. So that brings us to part 2 of the Financial Brilliance series. It's going to be a 3-part series where I'm interviewing or reviewing the interviews of the top people that I have really enjoyed, obviously interviewing all of the amazing people on my podcast, Empower Her Money, but I want to bring you action items in a shorter version, and we're doing a recap. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. Make sure you share this episode, subscribe if you're on YouTube, give us a 5-star review, help us reach more people, teach more people, impact more people through Empower Her Money podcast. Thank you for listening to Empower Her Money podcast. I am grateful for you. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, like this podcast, share it, subscribe, and let's keep teaching others how to take control and be empowered with their finances.